Oh my goodness, what did we just watch? What a comeback by the Jets. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of heroes from this game, but there is one trait that I saw from this football team that made me extra happy and extra proud of this win. Let's talk about it right now. And welcome back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am Wat2K99. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Like, share, subscribe. You know the deal. Let's get right into it. The Jets knock off the Cleveland Browns at Keebler Elf Stadium 31-30. A furious comeback in the last 3-4 minutes of that game. Oh my goodness, what an amazing comeback. One of the most improbable Jets comebacks that we have seen in years. Just fantastic. Garrett Wilson has made his name known all over the country. Everybody is going to know who he is by tonight. Joe Flacco had a very good game, I would say. There were plenty of big-time performers on defense. The offensive line stepped their game up. But I'll tell you what made me so happy about this game. It was a lot of the players who were not the big names necessarily. It was a lot of the players who were getting maligned by a whole lot of this fan base that really stepped up their game. And they may not have had the best games, but they had moments to contribute. And even if you're not the best player, sometimes you just need to make 1 or 2 impact plays in a game to leave your mark. And the Jets have a lot of players who fall into that category, into one of those 2 categories, either being maligned or guys who just came up out of nowhere to do something big in this game. Number 1 is going to be the easy one. I'm going to talk about Joe Flacco briefly. 26 for 44, 4 touchdowns. Very calm late in this game. You know what? When he had time to throw, and the offensive line definitely gave a lot more of that to him, he did what he had to do. Yes, his ball security was very suspect. He did fumble once when Myles Garrett came off the edge. And I think there were really, I would say, maybe 3 throws that I thought were really off. There were 2 passes in a row intended for Garrett Wilson deep in Browns territory that were like a little bit off. And there was a 3rd down late in the game where he just kind of threw into the sideline, which led to the Jets' very late punt in the game, which a lot of people were not very happy about. To me personally, you had to punt to get the ball away, because you had to force Cleveland to score a touchdown to go up by 2, whereas you were giving them basically it was going to be a 2-score game. I wanted to make their offense drive the ball down the field. I wasn't as bothered with the punt as many other people were. But Flacco really delivered the passes that he had to deliver. He even ran twice in this game. The Jets' first down was on a Flacco scramble. Who would have believed it? But the vast majority of his passes were where they needed to be, and he threw the big-time passes when he had to do it. Number 2, I want to give a little shout-out to Brandon Echols. Bryce Hall was not active for this game, much to a lot of our surprises. There was no Bryce Hall. There was no Bryce Huff. The Jets were literally Bryceless in this game. That's a fact of the matter. So after Sauce Gardner, he kind of got kneed in the head a little bit. Fortunately, he did come back. But Brandon Echols was pressed into duty, and he did a very good job. The Browns tried to pick on him, but he was covering Harrison Bryant. Then he would cover David Njoku. Very good tight coverage. I want to give props to Brandon Echols for stepping up in this game, coming into that game cold, and holding the fort until Sauce came back. Now, you know me, I do a lot of videos where I acknowledge special teams, and definitely in this video, I'm going to do it. If you know anything about my previous WickerMedia videos. Greg Zuerlein, who a lot of people were saying they wanted off the team. They wanted to talk about Rodrigo Blankenship. Joe Douglas got it wrong by cutting Eddie Pinheiro. Well, Zuerlein made all 5 of his kicks today, 4 extra points, and that 1 field goal in the third quarter, which was absolutely Pivotal. You could have made an argument for Robertsaleh going for it. He trusted Greg Zuerlein to make a 57-yard. And I'll tell you, when Zuerlein initially kicked that football, it wasn't going end over end. It was like spinning around like this, like a top. And then you could see it was accurate, but you had to wonder with that slow, horizontal rotation, was it going to have enough? And ultimately it did. And that tied the game up at 17-17. It was at that point I felt, you know what, the Jets are going to be in this game the rest of the way. Number 4, I'm talking about Bradenmann. Speaking of players that a lot of people wanted off this team, and you know what? The Jets put him on notice, and deservedly so. He has had a lot of shanks. Last week he did have a terrible 20-yard punt. But you know what? He came out in this game. He had 4 punts, 2 of them inside the 20. He averaged nearly 50 yards per punt. But more than that, that fake punt that the Jets called. And this is what was so funny. The Jets are lining up for this punt, and one of the guys in my club says, man, we never take a chance. We should be going for it. We shouldn't be punting. And the way that the camera was positioned, I couldn't really see exactly what was good. For half a second, I thought I saw the ball going up in a weird direction, but then backward. I thought the ball, because the camera was so low, I thought the punt was blocked. And then CBS adjusts the camera, and it was a perfect pass and to Jeff Smith. There's another guy. Let's acknowledge Jeff Smith as a contributor for making that one catch to help extend that drive, which the Jets ultimately scored on. So that was a big deal. So Bradenmann had a great game. Let's see him come back and do it again and have another consistent day punting. And one more thing, actually, that Bradenmann did was the onside kick. I know it's a kind of an obvious thing. When the Jets scored that touchdown to make it 30-24, I was thinking to myself, you know what? The way this offense is going right now, and considering how laissez-faire Cleveland's defense looks, they're playing prevent. They were giving the Jets 10 yards. They were giving the Jets the sideline. The way Cleveland played their defense was absolutely inexcusable. In fact, you can make the argument Cleveland lost this game more than the Jets won it. It's semantics, I know. But, I couldn't understand the way Cleveland was playing that. So then just unbelievable. They do the onside kick, and you could see that LaMarcus Joyner was kind of in on it, but I couldn't really see who recovered it. And then I saw it was Justinhardee, special teams ace, who a lot of people have knocked as well for his penalties. Well, you know what? Justinhardee made his biggest play as a Jet, I dare say, by recovering that onside kick. That was enormous to keep that game going. So I'm really happy for Justinhardee for having a very positive play for this team. And then, you know what? I got to go back 1 second and talk about Coreydavis. He didn't have a whole lot of plays in this game, did Davis? If I go back to his stats, Coreydavis he only had 2 catches for 83 yards in this game, but one of those catches was he was so open. For a second, I thought the play had been called dead. I figured the Jets must have had a false start. I was looking for penalty flags. I really was. And he also had the intelligence to kind of slow down a little bit, knowing if the Jets got the ball back, they'd have all the time in the world. I think maybe Davis was running. He's like, is this play still going? Is this really a touchdown? So, oh my goodness. So I was really glad to see Coreydavis have that touchdown. And finally, last but not least, I feel like I'm talking about like 10% of the roster right now that qualifies as these like undersung heroes. But I got to give Ashtyndavis credit. I have been one of the I have probably been as tough on him as I have any player on this roster not named Nathan Shepard or not named Ty Johnson. By the way, do I need to see Ty Johnson that much? Do we really need to see Ty Johnson at the end of the game instead of Breece Hall? Do we? So Ashtyndavis making that pivotal interception. I loved seeing his energy and also Robertsaleh's energy when he made that play. He has not had a very good career, but you know what? He did show up in this game right when he was needed as well. And I don't want to bust his chops about that. Even though LaMarcus Joyner did lead the team in tackles today, I got to wonder if Ashtyndavis is going to get a little bit more playing time next week against Cincinnati. So I know I highlighted a lot of players, but you know what? A lot of people are going to give a lot of love to the running back, certainly to Garrett Wilson. They all deserve it. I'm very happy to see Carl Lawson get his first pick. DJ Reed and Jordan Whitehead look great too. But I was just so happy to see some of the the bench guys, maybe the lower level guys, and some of the players who the fan base has not truly embraced. They all contributed. This was a team win, and I want to give props to both the players and the coaches. The Jets have won a September game, baby! Let's make it 2-1. As a former coach of ours would say, on to Cincinnati.